Hey, good morning everybody. Got a few minutes here to open, just messing with some settings here on my end. Let me know if this looks blurry to you guys. If y'all can see okay here. Alright, cool, appreciate you. It just looks blurry on my end. I'm not sure if maybe it's just not buffering okay as I'm looking at it. I don't know. But let me know if it's hard to see or anything, you guys. But if it looks good, I'm just gonna move on. So just gonna load up some strikes here real quick. So on SPY, we're set to open up here at about 428 or so. So you're gonna keep it easy. Y'all already know. Looking at this 430 call here. Gonna be looking at like this 425 put. As you can see here, we got a few puts here opening up right at Beast, pretty much right at the money. So we're gonna see what we get here this morning. Alright, and for QQQ, in case we get that rotation, right? We've been seeing a lot of rotation here to open. QQQ has kind of been the better play here. Set to open at about 363 or so. So y'all can probably guess, gonna have this 365 call up. And I'm gonna have this 360 put up. Hey. Remember to update your Beast tool here, y'all, this morning. Yeah, I don't know. The buffering just looks bad on my end while I'm watching it on YouTube, but if you guys say it looks alright, I will believe you. Let me see if my internet is sucking. I sound okay? I'm not lagging or anything on your guys' end? And my speed test looks good. I don't know. Not gonna worry about it, I guess. Made some changes here to my main screen. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I know I usually have 4 charts across the top here and another 4 columns here across the bottom, but figured I would take out some noise here, make it a little easier for all of us to read our main indices here. Lady Debs with the thumbs up. Alright. I'm gonna believe y'all. Cool. And Carol says, sounds great, and she's mobile. Alright, we got about 5 minutes here, y'all. About 4 minutes, actually. So I'm just gonna quickly run over here, check out some of these individual names very quick. course, we had some nice moves here on Friday, right? Everyone getting a little bit of juice here to the upside. So just again, gonna look at some targets here to the upside. Apple looking really good to reach this 180, right? But again, we're wary of a pullback here. Again, if you guys watched my prep yesterday, saw a lot of puts at Beast, right? Which isn't surprising with such a strong close on Friday. Decent gap down here. Trying to work back up to this close on Friday. We have a little work to do here. And if it's on Apple, probably looking similar here on our other major tech names, probably most names in general, right? AMD, kind of the same setup here. Down to where this daily 50 is going to be. So again, AMD just looking to hold this daily 50. If not, we're going to come right back down here. Amazon here, again, right, same situation, good looking gap down. Just trying to work our way back up to 130 and this daily mean. Got to get back up to this 128. But we got some, got this weekly Ichimoku cloud looking pretty good here. Need to climb back up to this daily. Definitely got some work here to do for tech especially, right? Google so close to this weekly squeeze top right here, getting up to near this 140. Google has been kind of a stronger name even in this shakeup here from the market in the past couple weeks. Definitely one to keep an eye on. Meta, of course, we've been screaming, but Meta right at this daily squeeze top, right? We're at a critical point here for Meta. Could roll over and die from this point, but again, Meta had a good place to put on some risk. Don't hate it, right? If we do get a rollover from here, it's a clean rollover from a daily squeeze top. And some moving averages here to hold, like this daily 8 or so. Microsoft, another one we've been talking about, coming off this 310 here last week or the week before. Again, you know, up near this daily 50, we have a clean target to the downside at that 310. If we do have a serious rollover, keep an eye on this daily Ichimoku cloud here on Microsoft. Just going to share this into the chat real quick for the peeps to see. But could again be a very great spot for a rejection here for Microsoft. Netflix, garbage. Don't even look at Netflix. Nvidia, chips, obviously making a nice strong comeback here. Really nice push on Friday, right? Let's see if we can get back above that 457, right? Maybe get back above this 460, but gonna require some work here from Nvidia now. Just looking to get back above this 450 for now and see what the rest of the market allows, right? And then our indices, of course, Qs and SPY with that similar setup, right? We're just looking for the daily 50 here above the daily 21 on SPY above. But again, we got a nice little bounce here at this daily 200 on SPY on Friday. Let's see if we can stay above this 419, 420 really. Start working our way back up to this 430. But alright, y'all, 10 seconds here. As always, it is the beginning of the week, right? Let's practice some patience here. Let's see what direction they're going to ultimately choose here this morning, if they give us a direction. Right, again, we have PPI on Wednesday. We have CPI on Thursday. We made a nice move on Friday, right? They don't really have to do anything here this morning. Gotta be patient here. And let's see. Got a nice little open here on tick within our thousands, right? We're open here at about negative 700. And as always, right, looking for that initial test of 0. That initial test of 0 and that reaction at 0, right? Let's see what kind of price action we continue to punch in here on either side of 0 on tick. Let's check out how our contracts are doing here for these opens. So of course, as expected, these calls still opening up with some pretty decent value here. Right, again, our open level is this thick white line. A little hard to see that opening candle here with our tool, but again, I'm just looking for this thick white dash line in relation to Beast here, first thing. And y'all know what I'm looking for here on these contracts that open, right? I really love to see these open levels within our Beast zones. A lot of times, these are the contracts that start to work for us. And just as we suspected, right, it's going to be on the put side. Starting to fail a little bit here, but of course it is the open, right? We're going to see some volatility here. Let's see if we start to reclaim this open level and this Beast zone here on these puts. Right, looking to this 425 put here on the bottom right and looking at this 360 put here on QQQ. And already I can tell we're getting some rotation. Let's go back to our futures indices here. And of course here YM cranking to the upside and Q getting the drop here, right? And we're getting some rotation. Right, downside in NQ, we're getting some upside in YM over here. We are parking the bus here momentarily on ES. ES up to our open range sell zone here on our Beast tool. So let's see if we start to get a little rollover if YM quickly decides to turn the tides here. YM getting up to this low from the last couple of weeks, and we have a 4-hour squeeze top that we're approaching here on YM. Could be a good spot for a rollover, but cannot overlook this tight little 30-minute squeeze we got on NQ that we've been holding here pre-market. Could see some rotation back here momentarily. And we get that 365 call right at Beast. So as always, you know, I'm always just looking to gather information here in the first couple of minutes, right? For my more advanced options traders, not a bad shot here to take on the call side, at least on QQQ, right? On QQQ here, on our Beast tool, we're arriving or pretty deep now into our open range buy zone, right? At the same time, our calls are in our Beast zone. Ooh, and we've got yesterday's open right here as well. This this thinner white dash line here at about 20 cents. And let's look over to our put, right? Always looking over to our put. See where this baby's at. A little hard to see here. Still in this opening candle. Just a little bit above Beast. So can't overlook this either, right? We might get a little rotation back, which might give this call a little bit of juice back up to this open level. And we got to be careful here with these puts. Right, this put in on QQQ is still holding this B zone, still holding its open level. But starting to get that bounce here right where we expected, right? Right at our 30-minute squeeze bottom and right at our open range buy zone. But again, it's been about 5 minutes here, so I'm not jumping into anything just yet. Still just gathering some data. So let's get back over here, check out how this rotation is doing. A little bit higher on YM and right up to this 4-hour squeeze top. Almost to the cent here. And starting to feel that little bit of a pullback. Q's going a little bit deeper here into the squeeze bottom. And down to this daily 8 exponential moving average right at this low of day. A little hard to see here, but if you're looking at my screen, it is this cyan or teal color. This solid line going across right here is the daily 8 exponential moving average. ADD starting to pop here a little bit, getting up to our open range sell zone. Keeping an eye on these internals. And on VIX over here, we are open. We are under 19, near this 18.5, and just working with this open level from Friday, and also we just have a beast level here from our beast tool. Something to keep an eye on here on VIX. Not really getting any true direction just yet. Nice bounce here so far for NQ. Let's see how this contracted. Not much here out of this contract, right? Maybe need to get a little bit closer to see a good bounce, but it could also be pointing us towards these puts being the ones that are going to work here, right? Even on the bounce, not getting too much premium on this call. Let's see how they did, getting a little closer, right? And again, I'm just kind of just flipping through these calls here to see, you know, what the bounce looks like, right? Are they pumping premium into these contracts? And again, you know, looking just to these two candles, not much of a bounce here on this 364 call. Even looking over to this 363 call, probably going to look similar here. But holding this open range buy zone on this 363 call a little bit closer. Ooh, I like that. And not bad on this one. Got down to about 54 cents and took a little 20-cent bounce here up to 75 cents. So not bad if you get close here, not bad. YM trying to go a little bit higher here, right, while NQ still lagging here a bit. Still seeing this rotation. ES still holding the top of this open range sell zone. Might take a little shot here on SPY puts if we just continue to go nowhere. Because NQ not looking exactly strong, right? If we do roll over on YM and they let NQ roll over as well, we're going to get a nice move to the downside here. But a little pop higher here on ES, still holding here at highs on YM, still being patient for this entry. Right, and taking a good look here at tick as well, right? We're right up at 0 right now, trying to crack through, but having a little bit of trouble. This could also point us towards these puts, right, as the better play. But still, just taking my time here and gathering information, right? VIX over here still mostly sideways, but coming down and punching in a little low of day. Nothing crazy just yet, but still not convinced on jumping into anything just yet. ADD sitting up here at the top of our open range sell zone, right? Again, if the puts are to work here, looking for a rollover here in ADD from our sell zone. But alright, y'all, been about 10 minutes here, 10 minutes. No need to jump into anything just yet, right? Let's look over here to this 430 put, liking this these puts here. But again, still sitting at highs, right? So I'm not going to dive in just yet. And we are now peaking above this open range sell zone, right? Still looking like we could roll over here. But gotta be careful. YM starting to struggle up here a bit as well. Let's see what we got here. This 425 put, a cheap one. Let me get a little bit closer here, see how we look on Beast. Oh, really like this 426 put here, sitting right in Beast. as we continue to look a little bit toppy up here. Also liking this 360 put over here on QQQ, right? Just holding right at beast. Gonna take a little early shot here on this 426 put. Just gonna jump into 1 for right now. This thing will let me. Why are you like this? Been having a little trouble here between all of my accounts. Don't know what the deal is. Let me in here, let me in. Why are you like this? Well, glad he didn't let me in yet, because we're getting a nice bounce here. Making a nice bounce off of the call, off of these open range buy zone here on the call side, as well as our beast zone here on this 430 call. Man, my accounts are fucked up right now. Might not be able to execute any trades here with you guys today, but that doesn't matter. Still gonna call them out. Gotta message TD and see what's up. You know, I usually like prep on one account, will execute on another account. I don't know what the link has been between my accounts, but it's just not letting me do shit here this morning. Getting a nice bounce here though. Tick starting to work its way above 0. Alright, and again, this is why I like to be patient here at open and just gather information. You know, we were looking like maybe a little bit of a rollover right there, but NQ starting to get that rotation back as YM lags. And a nice push higher here for ES. Looking a little bit higher here, we do have this 4-hour squeeze top on ES to the upside here at about 43.40-ish. And VIX continuing to drip here a little bit lower, giving us that little bit of upside here and giving NQ a nice push to the upside. Really nice move for this 363 call that we got a little bit closer here for. Let's go back up to this 365 call, see how that's doing as well. Right, we were watching this one a little bit earlier this morning. Nice bounce here right off our beast zone. Oof, and this bounce here off this previous day's open, right, this level right here, to the cent here on this 365 call. Nice move here from about 20 cents up to 55 cents off of our levels. And QQQ getting back up to this daily mean here at about 363. Nice little move for Qs here. Let's see if we roll over and come right back and keep up this rotation. Nice pop up for NQ here though. Coming to meet YM, let's see if they start to sync up these indices and we start to get a team move up here. Right, Qs have caught back up to the rest of the market. Let's see if they stop the rotation here and start to give us a team move. These puts coming down in this bounce right here, but holding on to our B zone. Definitely need to keep an eye on this, especially on a bigger psychological strike like this 360 put. Definitely could come right back. Gonna bump back down to this 425 put on SPY. Just want to see how it's doing. A little bit cheap here. Let's go back up to this 427 even. Oh, this 427 put looking pretty good here. Right at our B zone at about 70 cents. But again, I think this 426 would be a little more ideal for our smaller accounts here. Coming back up to hold on to Beast on this 426 put. Something to keep an eye on. But a nice move for tech here. Q's going a little bit higher into this 30-minute squeeze top. QQQ now getting deep into our open range sell zone. Really nice move from Q's here to come back up with the rest of the market. Man, and these calls had a nice move here. Right, dragged SPY a little bit higher. This 430 call made a nice move as well. Looking at something near a double here at its peak from its lows. And as always, right, it's always looking to repeat these moves. So let's see if we get a pullback here and we bounce to go higher. Right, we are looking to fill that gap here from the overnight. Really nice push for NQ here. Q's got up to that daily mean, but NQ still a little bit of work to get to that daily mean, getting close to it. And also its destination sell zone. Or I'm sorry, its open range sell zone. Right, again, our open range here is over this thick white dashed line, which is the open, and then we have a red zone above and a symmetrical green zone below, which makes our open range zone. So we had a good move here for tick as well, crossing over 0, coming back. And looking like she might come back up here and try it again. Let's just start to see if we just start to get very easy crosses over 0 here on tick. Might ultimately mean we just sit here kind of close to our open range zone and just chop it up for a while. But still early here, would like to see a move from this market early on. Starting to pop up a little bit here on VIX, kind of getting back up to our current high of day here. Let's see if we get this rollover here in VIX. And we could see it here, right? Just looking at our contracts, you know, and always keeping an eye on both sides here, right? These puts are, you know, just a little bit under beast, right? Or right at beast right here. And looking to get back into these zones, right? As we roll over here, if we roll over, you know, it's looking pretty decent, at least like on this 365 call that I called out down here. Getting right up to our open range sell zone to the cent right here and rolling over, right? If we continue to roll over from this zone, we should get upside in the put, of course, which means we would also roll over on QQQ at that same exact zone like on the calls. And looking at the same setup, of course, here on SPY, right? SPY looking like it might roll over here at our open range sell zone as these puts here start to get a little bit of juice and hopefully start to work its way up through this B zone. That 362 put, let's see that baby. Oh yeah, another nice one right there. Came from our open range sell zone, cracked into it a little bit, and coming back down to B's here. Yeah, so these puts looking pretty good here. I don't mind them. Let me use 361. This 361 might be a little more optimal for a lot of you guys here with smaller accounts. Right, in our B zone at about 50 cents, right? Not too cheap, right? That 30, 20 cents gets a little too cheap. But we like these contracts here at about 50 cents. Not a bad one. And tick again coming back up to 0, little rejection here so far, but nothing crazy, right? Kind of just living here near 0. And volume already fading pretty decent here in our major indices. Could be a little bit of a snooze this morning. But again, it is the opening 30 minutes of the week. We've got CPI on Thursday. We've got PPI on Wednesday. We could see a lot of waiting this week until that data drops. A little push higher here for ES, right? Nice little bounce for YM here at our open range sell zone, this red zone right here. Also have a low here from the week before last. And we're just going to chop in this little range now, it seems, on YM until we get a break from this whole market. See if we break out to the upside or to the downside. But oh, getting a nice little bounce here in ES. Right, mostly led by YM here. And Q did get this bounce back up and now just kind of hanging out here. Some of these puts fading here a little more on SPY, so we're going to bounce up a little bit closer. Let's check out this 427 put here on SPY. Well, we've got our open range buy zone on this 427 put just below this B zone, so might be a little bit of a better target of when we could get a reversal. But for right now, looking strong, right? Not going to get in the way of this thing. And Q with a little bounce up here, pretty much to high of day. Okay. ADD looking pretty good up here at our open range sell zone. Trying to hang on to it so far, but got to be careful here with the rollover still, right? We are slowly grinding higher, but not really with heavy conviction. Alright, so we got to be very careful here with the rollover. Still been not even 30 minutes in this session. Could still get some manipulation here. Still keeping an eye on VIX here, right? Putting in kind of an H. Sitting here at lows, you know, another snap below here could give us another push higher. We are right at the mean on Qs here, right? And Q just below. QQQ just above. So definitely at some critical levels here. Really liking this 361 put, or that 362 put the professor called out on YouTube here. But just got to be careful, right? I'm always stressing as well these open levels in combination with our B zones, right? And for right now, these calls are above their open levels. So while these puts do look pretty juicy here at their B zones, you got to be careful with these calls still above their open levels. They are still getting some love here. And a little bit lower here on VIX. Cracking under this 18.5. But still slightly seeing some rotation here, right? And Q dropping here a tiny bit. YM still holding up pretty decently. YM actually punching in a little high of day up here in this 4-hour squeeze top. Right, but still at a critical level here at this daily 8 exponential moving average. So let's see. Could be a slow rollover here at this top. Could continue to see more rotation up here. Maybe they pull NQ back again. Kind of what it's looking like at the moment. But still, we are just sitting here in a flag. Here at these highs, we could get a snap either direction, right? No idea what we get here. We are at some good levels for a rejection here, really across the board. But we could snap, go higher, fill this gap, and then get another decision as well. Q starting to roll over a bit here. See how these puts are doing. This 361 put making a nice move here. This 362 put, I'm sure as well. Really nice move out of our B zone here. About 65 cents to a buck. Oh, love it, love it. And let's go down to our original one here. This 360 put coming back up to its beast zone. About 30 cents up to 50 cents. Some nice moves here. Dragon Spy down here a bit. Let's see how YM is doing. YM still just holding up here. With NQ coming back. Let's see though. We have this 15,000 key cycle level here on NQ. Could be a good spot for a bounce. And we got VWAP stacking up in here as well, right on our open range buy zone. Definitely a great level for a bounce here. Let's see how these calls are doing. And this 365 call getting back down to this B zone. Could be a little spot for a bounce. This 362 has been a big level for us on QQQ. Of course, lining up with 15,000 on NQ. Let's see what they do here. Really liking this call here, though. Back to B zone. Right, if we just bounce right back up. Could go right back up to our open range sell zone. We're talking 30 cents back up to 70 cents. Could be a good play here if we hold 15,000 here on NQ. Decent pullback here across the board. But ADD not really pulling back too hard. Tick with a decent pullback, but not really like cranking down to negative 1,000 or anything. Oh, but a decent bounce in VIX right here. Through high of day. Bam, bam, right? And this is what I was talking about. You know, we're sitting here at these highs, but we could just get a snap here in either direction. And all of our resistance here works together to make that direction the downside. Nice little move here on the puts. Man, and these calls just right back to beast here on SPY and QQQ. Really liking both of these here. And again, key psychological strikes. Some really nice strikes here on the call side. So again, just keeping an eye on my internals here to see if we continue this push lower. Alright, VIX would have to keep cranking here. Would have to see ADD drop under our open range sell zone, and tick with another rejection at 0 would need to bring us even lower, right? So let's see here, right? If we start to get this bounce, looking for VIX to crack back under this open level from Friday. And we'll need to see ADD to start actually bouncing here again at our open range sell zone. Right, even though it's called the open range sell zone, it will act as support if we test it from above. And again, still getting this rotation here, alright? We had a nice drop in NQ, starting to hold up, and now we've got YM starting to drop here a bit. It's like rotation, but they're kind of just taking turns going in the same direction, right? Just kind of like a slow cascading move. One leads, the other follows, ultimately dragging ES along with it. But definitely some weird moves here. Alright, let's see here. Tick coming back up to 0. Little crack through it. Could have a nice bounce here, right? We're at our open range buy zone on NQ, at our open range sell zone on ES, and at our open range sell zone on YM. All could act as support here. And getting a nice little bounce, right? And then looking back over to our calls, we're bouncing right at our B zones here. But always keeping an eye on the other side as well, right? These puts continue to just kind of hold at our B zone on both SPY and QQQ. So again, still looking good on both sides. Makes it a little bit tougher to pick a side and put some good trades in, but in reality, right, could get good trades out of both, right? Both are providing decent trades so far. And VIX cracking back under this open level from Friday. See if we start to get a nice little bounce. Tick with a tiny gap up here on a 5-minute. And ADD starting to bounce a little bit here at our open range sell zone. But again, nothing crazy, right? Could just be an H to go lower. Something to keep an eye on here as well on ES, we have this daily 200 simple moving average here at about 43.17 or 43.18. Kind of close to VWAP right here right now. Could be a little downside target. Maybe we bounce at it later. And again, just a quick little reminder here to everyone watching, especially if you're newer to us, you know, we can always go over here to marketwatch.com, check out what we got coming up here under this economy tab, right? Go to the economic calendar, and we can see what we have coming up this week that is notable, right? And here on Wednesday we've got PPI, and on Thursday we've got CPI. So won't be surprised at all if we continue to see some slower price action here on the market until we get these drops here this week. Could be a lot of this, you know, especially here about 45 minutes in. Haven't really gone anywhere. And I just want to take a little look over here. Watch said he jumped into some meta 325 calls. Let's see what this meta looks like here. Oof. Had a little bounce here so far this morning. And buying that 325 call to go higher from here might be tough, watch. Might be tough. Let's check out this 325 call at 240, he said. Up on it a little bit right now. Okay. Hey, and really punching higher here. Got up to about 3.2. Hope we locked some in already. But really like to see this trail line here supporting price action. And of course, you know, he has until Friday for this contract, so plenty of time to load up on pullbacks, etc., etc. Let's jump back over to QQQ here. And again, you know, getting a little bounce out of our B zone here on these calls. But starting to look like we might get a little bit of an H here right under the daily mean, right? Or right at the daily mean here on QQQ. Trying to crack above it here. We also have a high here from the week before last. Could be some tough levels to crack through here for Qs, but something to keep an eye on. Ooh, starting to push a little bit higher here above it. But my point was going to be that if we do start to roll over here and get an H, right, we're at some decent levels to do it here on QQQ and the call side, right? We could reject this open level here, right, as well as reject this daily mean and this high here from the last couple of weeks. Start to put in an H. And what do we have on the put side? Put still holding beast, right? So even though we're getting some decent value out of the calls, the put's only losing a little bit of value and still holding our buy zone. Here on this SPY put as well, right? Could get a similar setup. We put in a lowercase h, right, under this open range sell zone. We could see the same here on the call side, right at this open level, start to put in a little H, and then this put is going to gain value out of this B zone. And again, as we can see here, you know, referring to my party lines on my volume bars here under my indices, we have had volume just consistently fading here this morning. They're definitely taking it easy here for the open of the week, right? And again, you know, we have some economic data coming up this week. Not surprised at all to see some slow price action here this morning. Nice little move higher here though on tick, punching in a high of day. And after a little crack here to high of day on tick, a little smackdown right back into this range. Again, not seeing really any conviction either direction. Oh, but Q's popping a little bit higher here, trying to fend off this H, right? Not getting it just yet. Call's still looking okay here off of this bounce. Right, and again, you know, called this out this morning, right? Wanted to see this again, boom, getting it here again. But still just have to be careful here. Right, we're still at some critical levels for a rollover. The puts are pushing a little deeper, but still at our B zones. And again, just keeping my expectations in check, right? We are having some slow moves here, some low volume. You know, whatever moves we continue to get here this morning are probably going to be slow or short-lived moves, right? Until some volume really steps in. Right, and again here, just getting a little bit of resistance right at these levels to hold us here. Could still get this H right under these levels, right? Nice and slow. Very slow morning here, y'all. Very slow morning. But that's okay, right? We know we'll have some spicier days here towards the end of the week. Gives us some time to gather some data as well, right? Especially those of you who like to trade individual names, right? Definitely use today, tomorrow, Wednesday to see which strikes are getting the most respect, right? Which strikes they're propping up the most. And you can see day to day, you know, with our beast tools here, which of those strikes and which side, you know, continues to respect our levels the best. So nice little move for tick here, got back above zero, right? We punched in that high of day, but then came back to test zero and catching a little bounce, right? Definitely like to see that here for some upside. ADD making a nice little leg up here. Again, nothing crazy, but holding up. Ooh, and getting a nice little push higher here from all three of our major indices actually, and Q going a little bit higher, ES going a little bit higher, as well as YM. Just a tiny bit here. Hey, let's go a little bit of an edge higher here for tech. Alright, this 361 put down to low of day and pushing it a little bit lower. Okay, okay. Let's check out like this 362. This 362 right in beast, but also pushing low of day. Gotta be careful with that. Oh, and Q's looking like it might make a little reach here for high of day, but again, not crazy volume here, it seems. Could just be a move right up to high of day for then another rollover. But again, you know, that's okay, right? We don't have to be in a trade at all times. We don't even need to trade every single day, right? We can just sit here, gather some information, continue to keep the sword sharp as we look at all of our charts here. And just take it easy, right? Got to protect that peace more than anything here. VIX making another little run here to get back down to possibly low of day. Let's see. But again, as we approach here high of day on our indices and VIX approaches low of day, could get that reversal right at all of those key points. And again, even though we're getting a little bit more juice into these calls, these puts are still looking pretty solid here at their B zones. Right, look at this 427 put here on SPY. again down to low of day, stacking up perfectly on our lower beast level right here. And getting a little bounce here once again. So still kind of in a tough spot here, right? Q's still holding this daily mean, right? I don't hate that for upside. We still have a little bit of a gap to fill, giving us maybe a little bit more incentive for upside, but this downside's still looking pretty good here on our contracts, right? Kind of hard to make a decision here. Market itself looks pretty indecisive. I would rather just do nothing. Right, good trades will come later. More obvious and clear-cut trades will come later. So again, just no need to rush into trades, especially here at the beginning of the week. We know we have economic events coming up. And that doesn't mean we're going to get this until, Wednesday or Thursday, but it doesn't, it probably means that we're not going to get like a repeat of Friday here before Wednesday, right, in either direction. It's going to be some slower moves. It's going to be some short-lived legs. But market can only sit up here for so long, right? This is like, the market is like a pitching machine. You don't ever have to swing, but market has to keep pitching, for sure. Arizona Bay, I see your question here in Beast Questions, and I'll let the professor answer over text, but I'll answer here over the stream. So the question was, what is this green zone following these candles? And he has up the 429 call here on SPY. So I'm going to pull that up. Let's see, and you're in a 1 minute. See what I can pull up here in a 5 minute. Alright, I don't know if you're looking at my screen here, Arizona Bay, I hope so, but I'm going to show you the same but different here. So that green little zone that you're pointing out to is the same line here on my chart. Right, I don't have a green zone yet, but this is the trail line, right? And this trail line is giving you the distance that is, I believe it's 25% off of the highs, right? So this will eventually start to come down and scoop us as we get some lower price action. And once you get up to a new high and start to roll over, it'll hold flat at that 25%. So it's kind of just to give you a little target for pullbacks, really. After we get scooped by the trail line and you start going higher, it'll travel with us, and as we start to pull back, it gives us a nice little target from, I believe it's 25% from the top, but I'll have the professor here come in and verify this, I'm sure, here soon. And it's definitely much more useful here on lower time frames. You know, I don't really get it as much here on these 5 minutes, but when I do, it definitely slaps. But you know, just like most studies, most indicators, usually the higher the time frame, the more impactful it is when you do finally get that interaction. But yeah, that trail line, that little trail cloud is super effective. I mean, you could literally just trade with just that little cloud once you start to really learn it. Continuing to get rotation here, right? NQ popping a little bit, YM dropping a little bit, right? Still not really going anywhere. Got ADD here up to one of our beast levels, right? Stalling right at it. Man, love to see ADD here respecting our beast levels. Definitely one of the names that does the most right here in our beast tool. Really nice move here, straight up green 3 minute candles here all the way up to one of our beast levels, and finally get that first red candle. Lethal levels here from our beast tool. But still seeing a mixed bag out here on the market, right? ADD, nice pop up. Tick, you know, nice hold here above zero for quite a few minutes. Starting to peak under though. Don't love that for upside, obviously. And VIX starting to pop up here again, right? Giving us some possible downside. And sure enough here, YM starting to drip a little bit. ES taking a little peak down. But NQ holding up here still. And looking like we might ultimately get this H, right? Really teased us out to the upside, looking like it wasn't going to be an H, but right back down to this level here on QQQ, right at this daily mean, and looking like we're going to now continue the H. Or maybe we bounce right back up. Let's see. Kind of a snooze out here, y'all. Kind of a snooze. But again, don't mind here ES still being above this daily 200, right? Definitely need to hang on this daily 200 for some larger time frame upside, right? I know we've been talking a lot, you know, for example, the indices on those daily Keltners, right? And we're really looking to get out of some hot water here on these indices, right? We made a nice move on Friday, but we definitely need to follow it up here with some good price action to the upside if we're to get some good upside here in the near future. But starting to drip here a little bit. A whole team looking like we're getting a little bit of downside here. YM down to this 33,500 key psychological level here. And NQ down right to this 15,000. Won't be surprised to see QQQ at 362 right here. Yep, pulling up to this 362. And these puts getting some love here out of our B zone. And again, y'all, you know, I always try to keep my setup here just super simple, right? You know, I got my calls on the left, I got my puts on the right, just like the option chain, right? Got my equity here in the middle. And especially with SPY and QQQ, right, they both have an ATR kind of similar to each other here. SPY with a 5-point ATR, QQQ with almost a 6-point ATR. So every morning I just keep it simple, y'all. You know, I just try to look 2 or 3 points up and down from whatever current price action is, and those are usually the targets or the option contracts that I end up playing. Right, and to anyone who has been trading with me for a while, y'all know that usually the strikes that I call out before open are typically the ones that we end up hitting, right? I know I've been flashing here this morning about a contract or two up and down on both sides. That's okay, right? Always just looking to those surrounding strikes for information. But usually, you know, we have a good idea before the bell exactly what strikes we're going to be hitting here. Let's pop back over to our internals here and see how we're looking. See, and I don't really love what we're seeing here. ADD trying to go a little bit higher here above our beast level. Tick still getting a little bit of a bounce here at 0. Right, but VIX also going higher as our market is dropping. Definitely a little confusion here with these internals, right? We do have the dollar popping. Usually the dollar pops, we do get some downside in the market, so that one's okay. But again, not really seeing all of our stars aligning here. Kind of making our trades a little bit tougher, right? Again, you know, in all this rotation this morning, we did just get a clean little move to the downside here. With all of our indices, but again, they kind of took turns going back and forth, right? Our internals didn't point it out completely in sync, right? There wasn't great harmony between all of them. Still makes these trades a little tougher, right? I can go back here and look on a 5-minute chart on all three of these and be like, oh, that was a clean move to the downside. But as we were looking at it live, right, it wasn't that clean. one would bounce, the other would drop, they would go back, right? Get that little bit of rotation throughout these 4 5-minute candles, right? In these last 20 minutes. And so again, just to keep us here pretty much just going nowhere, right? Won't be surprised to see Qs bounce at this 362, right? Or 15,000 for NQ. SPY to bounce right here at this open level. Very, very likely here. And over here on the futures indices, we got YM bouncing at this open level. Oh, and we got VWAP climbing up as well. And kind of a similar look here on ES. Not at the open level, but we are starting to catch a little bounce here at this daily 8 as well as our open range sell zone. And we got VWAP crawling up to meet us as well. NQ already cracking through VWAP and getting some support added here right at this 15,000 and right at our open range buy zone. Can't stress it enough, especially here since I say it over and over again, right? I call out these open range buy and sell zones over and over and over again, right? These two zones especially are very lethal for us, right? We see it time and time again, especially here with calls and puts, you know, where one is bouncing at an open range buy zone and on the other side we are rejecting it, right? Or here on the equity. So again, just like I'm looking for a trade for all of my stars to line up here, right? I'm looking for all my stars to align between the internals, the futures, but also here on the option contracts. So again, now here, just looking for either this lowercase h, right, once again, right, we were kind of putting in an h here, got to the base of it, looking like we might get a mini h within this bigger h. Or we start to put in a W, right, if we do get a nice pop here. Looking over here to tick, you know, we started the morning with some overall price action to the negative side here on tick. And now trying to hold up overall to the positive side, even though we've gotten like 20 minutes of downside here or so. So again, just not loving how all of these things are shaping up together, right? ADD still trying to crawl a little bit higher here as this market looking like it's going to maybe go a little bit lower. Right, this is not an environment that you really want to trade in. Doesn't mean that it doesn't work, right? Obviously, we've had some good moves here, even off of our beast levels and our beast zones, but it just makes it a little bit trickier, right? And if you have a small account, you definitely want to be careful what you take your shots on, right? These are not obvious trades, right? These are not super clear cut. Much easier trades will come to you if you're patient and you allow this little bit of a mess to kind of get over with, right? Coming back down, right? Let's see if we get a quick little H here, and if we end up flushing to go lower. But again, looking for NQ to hold this 15,000 key psychological level here for NQ, as well as our open range buy zone, right? This green zone below our open level. Ooh, and we're flushing that H here, baby. Oh, getting a nice move here to the downside. ES down to VWAP. About to tap that daily 200. Going to be a quick move here, y'all. I definitely don't think we just flushed under this daily 200. But again, they're just giving us little tidbits, right? Kind of hard to trade. You really just got to hold puts here from the top and hope that it works in your favor. But again, every little bounce, you're thrown off of whether it's going to actually work. Right, and again, boom, a short-lived move right to this daily 200. Guarantee you we're not just going to flush through this. And then looking around to what else might support us here as ES arrives at this daily 200, hopping over to YM over here, right down to VWAP. Let's see if we can hang on to this. VIX, though, up here tapping a high of day and pushing it. Let's see here, right? If VIX starts to go even higher, maybe we do crack under this daily 200 kind of quickly. ADD starting to finally look like it's getting a little bit of a pullback, right? Super late into the actual pullback. Let's see what these contracts do. And again, looking over to these put contracts, right? Continuing to hold our beast zones here. And getting some nice moves out of it. Oh, and SPY looking like she might go lower here. Oh, cracking under this daily 200. Oh, snap. And getting back down to this open level possibly on ES. Right, but again, I won't be surprised if we chop it up right here at this daily 200, ultimately hold this open level, and then bang higher. And looking over here to our upside, right, QQQ down again to our open range buy zone, right, this green zone below our open level. And this 365 call giving us a similar look, right down to our open range buy zone, this green zone below, again, this open level, right, but also below our main B zone here. Could start to see a decent bounce from here. Yep, AUM I'm going to show you right now. So this is what we think is a newer thing. It might have been added to Thinkorswim here recently as Schwab has taken over TD Ameritrade. So just follow along with me here on my screen. Here is my ES chart, right? I'm going to come up here to the settings. And I'm going to go over here to futures, right? We're looking at a futures index. And you're going to click here this little adjust for contract changes. This is something that we've been kind of debating here hard whether to use or not. But ultimately, I do believe that we need to have this adjust for contract changes on. And let me tell you why. So ultimately, what we're looking at here on these futures charts is a contract, right? This is not a continuous chart. You know, when you come up here and you search it, let me see if it comes up here. No, it always just comes up as ES. But ultimately, you know, every quarter, this contract changes, right? We get a new chart here for ES, for NQ, for YM, for Ruddy, right? The micros as well. And you're trading that contract for that quarter. So ultimately, what happens is that the price action for this contract then becomes like a little bit different to the previous contract, right? So to turn this into a continuous chart, we now flick on this setting right here, adjust for contract changes. So basically it allows for the current contract to correctly calculate in the previous contract in reference to itself, which is very confusing and very annoying for us to deal with right now. But supposedly, the idea is that whatever studies and whatever we're looking at here for this current contract, that it's being calculated correctly with the previous price action, right? Something like this daily 200 simple moving average has to calculate farther back even before this contract existed. So we had a big conversation here at the beginning of this quarter. We were like, oh, we have a gap, right? We have a huge gap as we rolled over into the new contract, right? But in reality, that gap doesn't actually exist, right? You go over to SPY and you go back to that time, and it doesn't actually exist, right? You go to SPX as well. You know, SPX runs a little bit more similar to ES, and that gap doesn't exist there either. So ultimately, I do believe we need to have on this adjust for contract changes, and for any gaps like that, especially when the quarter rolls over, I would just refer to SPX, because SPX is a continuous chart. So I hope that made sense. Honestly, still trying to like really wrap my brain around it as well. So a little confusing, right? And fairly certain this is something that was added with Schwab here lately, because I definitely don't remember seeing this like a year ago. Not sure. But I do now have them on for all of my futures indices, giving us a little bit of a tighter calculation. Let me see where you have then this 200, because the 200 is, you know, kind of a longer one too, so it should be pretty much the same. looking the same to me here. Yeah, no, it's looking exactly the same for me here. So I don't know what you're looking at, but you should definitely have the daily 200 here at about 43.17. With or without this selected. And so just as expected here, starting to get this little bit of a bounce right at this daily 200. Again, right, just kind of rinse and repeat here. Do we get another little lowercase h? Or do we start to put in a W? Right, the straight V is not something we typically expect, though we do see from time to time. But let's see, we did have a nice strong candle to the downside. We could come back and quickly engulf it and then continue this chop fest, right? Very, very possible. And still seeing here though that like even with all this downside, right, ADD holding up. Let's see if it's likely Ruddy just holding up here. Yep, it's Ruddy kind of holding up ADD here. Holding up our other internals a little bit. Ruddy looking pretty solid here this morning. Throwing us for more confusion here, right? So, you know, whenever we do get some confusion here in the market, confusion here on internals, better to just leave it alone until we get some more clear-cut moves. Especially if you are a newer trader, right? If you have a small account, don't just always try to be in a trade, right? You're gonna get burned. There was good trades here, but again, they were a little more advanced, right? Gotta be pickier with them too. Can't be greedy on these pops, depending on what side you're on. Right? If you were playing these puts all morning, it's been you get some green, you lock, right? You get some green, you lock. You get some green, you lock. But this is definitely how they get newer options traders, right? You know, especially if you were to hop into something like these puts, right? And let's say you're not even looking at an option chart, right? You're not even looking at a beast tool on an option chart. And you go green across your entry, you go red across your entry, you go green across your entry, right? You're eventually probably going to get shaken out here for a tiny loss or a tiny gain. But overall, we're still just holding here these same levels, right? That we can identify here at predicted trades with our beast tool. And again, ultimately looking here at options contracts, right? Looking at the chart itself, we can actually see the range, right? Instead of just buying here at some random number on the chain and just hoping for the best, right? This is what most options traders are doing, especially newer option traders, right? You're buying here, you have really no idea what you're buying except for what the equity chart kind of hints at you. And you're just hoping for the best, right? But definitely big money knows exactly what they're painting here on these charts, right? They are artists with these candles. So we definitely have some serious edge here with our beast tool, A, right? And B, just looking at options charts themselves. Definitely still a little hidden gem here in the trading community that not many people take advantage of, is looking at these option contracts themselves. But alright, y'all, I'm going to wrap up my boring ass session here. We didn't get too much here this morning, but again, not surprised, right? We've got CPI and PPI coming this week, right? Very likely we will still continue to get some little legs like this, but I don't really expect any explosions or serious fireworks maybe until Wednesday, right before the drop or right after the drop. Actually, I think those come before open. Let's see. What? Is that economy? Come on. And okay, we're looking at, yeah, PPI at 8:30 here on Wednesday, and CPI also at 8:30. So yeah, we're going to get these numbers here before open on Wednesday. I'm sure we'll get some silly manipulation here pre-market on Wednesday after this drops, right? Just like they did on Friday with that good jobs report, right? They immediately flushed it before open and then blasted us higher to the moon during the actual session, right? Could again see some similar price action to that here on Friday, or from Friday here on Wednesday. Alright, y'all, I'm out of here. I hope everyone has a great rest of your trading day. I will be on again to stream on Thursday for Free Thursday. And just stay safe out here, alright? Continue to watch our beast levels, right, and our beast zones. As always, right, I'm always saying, I'm just looking for a level to risk off of, right? And our beast zones and our beast levels continue to be those good levels to put on some risk. So especially for you more advanced traders here in our group, right? Even though these internals are a little shaky here this morning, right? Still got some good trades popping up here and there. But alright, y'all, much love. I'll catch you guys later. We'll chat it up in the chat, of course. But I will be here again Thursday morning and Friday morning for a little live session. Alright? Hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and I will catch y'all later.